Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Kind of a wet and overcast day here, but a lot of excitement on the LSU campus because in about an hour, Will Wade will be officially announced as LSU's new basketball coach. And we will cover that, carry that for you live in the next hour. So we'll see what Will has to say. Yeah, make it official. And I don't know if it's anything like the first time he was hired. There'll be a lot of enthusiasm in the place. They're giving out T-shirts to the students when they come in, and I don't know what kind of other crowd you'll have. It is in the middle of the day, but I would imagine there'll be a decent crowd in there for this. This is something that the fans seem pretty excited about.
I think they're very excited, and I think the students, why not go as well? If it a little break in your classes, if that is allowed. So I mean, it's just going to be.
Go get your free T-shirt.
It's hey man, everybody's good for a good free T-shirt. You know, a Will Wade T-shirt and. Of course, how many years ago when it was at the student union and they were giving away free hamburgers and stuff? Yeah. So I don't know whose idea it was, but I'm sure that Will Wade had to give its blessings here. He understands that back in the as he takes over a program in shambles. That's what I love. No, now it's in shambles. Will Wade did not leave the program in shambles. I love that freaking line. That is like over and over. The same program he left in shambles. No, he went to how many straight tournaments and we forced him out?
He went to
3?
4. Well, 4 if you count the COVID year.
Yes,
it would have been 4
Absolutely.
years. When Will Wade left the program and everybody transferred out, that was a new thing that you had to start over. And so it hit hard because we had never seen anything like that before where a team didn't have any players in the locker room when he left. And then you had the probation, which was, in retrospect, pretty mild compared to some of the probations in the past, certainly compared to the probation that John Brady inherited back in the late 90s. Now that is fairly commonplace. We did the little survey at the beginning of the season about who was bringing back the most players in the Southeastern Conference, and I think the Florida and Missouri each had 5, and that was it. Everybody else was retooling for more than 5, or less than 5 coming back. And if you saw what Dusty May said in the post game for Michigan, they asked him about one of his players being contacted by another school, and they're not done playing yet. And he said, I told the agent, I understand. If you're not shopping your client, you're not doing your job. He goes, that's how it goes. He said 90% of the players right now are shopping for next year. He said the good ones. He goes, I get it. He says everybody's on a 1-year contract. He said the coaches too. It was a incredibly reasoned response to something that people get really emotional. You're leaving us, or you're abandoning us, or that's the game now. Like it or not, and I'm not wild about it. I'm not crazy about everybody transferring every single year. I'm not crazy about kids going to 4 schools in 4 years. But this is the rules that we're playing by.
Hate the player, not the game.
Yeah,
don't hate the game. Whatever. They don't hate the player. Don't hate the game. Whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. The thing is, but I just heard that it's kind of like that narrative now. It's in it. Will Wade left the program in shambles. Did Will Wade lead the program in any better? I mean, he went to NIT 1 year and went to the tournament the other 4. I mean, was there more interest in basketball when he left or when he took over? I mean, is there more interest now since McMahon. And the other McMahon never had a chance.
No, that's where you lose me. If you want to say he was look, there were no players and they were on probation. Okay, that's not optimum. I get it. Shambles may be a little bit tough, but yeah, it wasn't the best. I get it. But the idea that loomed over the program for more than a year is just not paying attention to the landscape of college basketball. You want to say that's why I gave him a pass in the first year. You didn't. I did. I said, okay, look,
I knew he wasn't hustling.
Okay, well, and that became apparent. Okay, so you were ahead of the curve on that. I'll give you credit. Yeah. But to say that held over, the amount of excuses that, he inherited a program with no players, that works for a year now, okay? And if he would have gotten the job 2 years later with no players, everybody would have said, well, everybody's dealing with that. Go look at some of the other schools that are changing coaches. I doubt any of them bring back more than a handful of players, and some of them may not have any, including the one that is here. I'm not certain that anybody on last year's roster is going to be on next year's roster. So that's commonplace. It's the same thing with the injuries. Oh, well, he had all these injuries. We went through that, okay? He had some injury problems, but it wasn't like what happened to Hubert Davis in North Carolina. He didn't lose a lottery pick.
No.
Okay?
No.
No. Yes, there's a little bit of that, but it got repeated so often that it was it got exaggerated.
Was it Stackhouse or Drew that lost Garland?
I think that was Drew.
Okay, we got fired.
Yes,
that's a real a real injury.
If Hubert Davis would have went there and said, "Hey, listen, I lost my best player with 8 games to go." Yeah, we were in a bind. That guy's hard to replace.
Well, they're tired of squeaking into the tournament. Yeah, that's North Carolina.
That's North Carolina.
That's right. That's a top 3 job. This is not LSU's just happy to. Hey, listen, Will Wade is 3-8 in the tournament. 3-8. I mean, but going taking 4 different schools to the tournament, 8 out of 9 years. We'll gladly take it.
Yeah.
Gladly take it.
That's what some of the detractors are saying too. Is that you might not win a championship with that guy. Maybe they won't. Okay, yeah. Who can LSU possibly hire that would be guaranteed to take them to the Final Four? I mean, come on, going to the Final Four. If you're at a good program, is really hard. I was astonished, and maybe I shouldn't have been because I follow this stuff pretty good, to see that Arizona has not been to the Final Four. Arizona is a really good basketball program. Hadn't been to the Final Four in 25 years. Yeah. And Michigan hasn't been in 20. I'm sorry, Illinois. Illinois hasn't been in 20. Also a pretty good basketball program. LSU's been more recently than either one of those before this coming weekend. So that's hard. I like your term about Tennessee's never been.
Alabama just went to their first one.
Yeah.
Auburn just went to their first ones.
So I'm not guaranteed, I'm not guaranteed that Will Wade's going to take LSU to the Final Four, but Will Wade will have them competitive. They'll be playing, relevant basketball in March?
Every game I've seen him coach is something on the line in March.
Yeah.
Something on the line in March. Seeding, getting in, trying to whatever. Something on SEC championship, outright. Yes, something's on the line. Something is on the line. I still remember, listen, man, you had to go in that building and that's just the last 2 years have been so sorry.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. You want to talk about embarrassing? When some people were trying, the Will Wade critics, he embarrassed the school. No, this is embarrassing. This is the building named after Pete Maravich. It's the building with Shaq outside and Bob Pettit. It's the building that just CJ, lit up. No. So, and he does have a little bit of a Dale Brown sort of,
Yeah.
He's gonna give you a chance. He's gonna get you into the tournament more times than not, but maybe there's been some limitations on, sometimes we don't do the smartest right. But LSU basketball standards and LSU football, LSU baseball standards are completely different. It's hard to win basketball games here, man. It's hard.
And it's harder now than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago in the league wasn't very good 10 years ago. Yeah, the league is much, much tougher now than it was.
Tennessee just went to their 3rd straight Elite Eight.
And
They
Florida
won
won
9 games.
And Florida won the national championship last year. They were a 1 seed this year. They hired a coach the same year LSU did. Okay, and now they're there. You bring Oklahoma and Texas into the league. I thought Oklahoma would be a little bit better. I suspect that they will be eventually. But Texas, that's a quality basketball program. And
they got a coach that can, he's right there with Will as far as, going through this stuff and lost to, Arizona's a great job, and, he may take the North Carolina job. He may, but that's a great job. And he was, he's his 9th Sweet 16.
9.
Miller.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. He's still relatively. He's got some gas left in the tank.
And all of these programs in the league they're coach dependent, in my opinion, with the exception maybe of Kentucky, and maybe even you put them in there. We've seen LSU be really good and really bad. We've seen Alabama be really good and really bad. Same thing with Auburn and Florida and Tennessee and Georgia. We've seen all of these teams go up and down based on how good the coach was. There's one heritage program in the league, and that's Kentucky. Maybe Arkansas, but that's the one heritage.
No, just anybody can't go to Arkansas and win. You're right. Everybody but Kentucky.
Everybody
and I
but
will take it a
Kentucky.
step further. I think that some programs in the SEC, you need somebody special to win, like this one.
Yeah,
Georgia.
yeah.
This one.
I don't
Texas
know.
A&M.
Florida. Donovan won a title, and now Golden has won a title. In between there,
Horrendous.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. They weren't anything special.
No.
for sure.
You're right. You're right. Vanderbilt, obviously. Yeah, pretty much. Missouri, pretty much.
How much different was Auburn? Maybe Auburn is the poster child. You
Auburn,
bring in Bruce,
without a doubt.
Bruce Pearl. Okay, that's a heavyweight. But before that, you got to go back to the 2000 team with Chris Porter and them.
Auburn is clearly only one coach can do it. They got that's a place where most coaches go to die.
Yeah.
No. And Stephen Pearl, I don't give him much chance. He didn't even make the tournament his first year. It's only going to get tougher.
Yeah, with a little bit of a difference. If they would have known that he was coaching and not Bruce, they probably would have scheduled it differently. They wouldn't have scheduled
their NET wouldn't have been as strong.
It wouldn't have been, but we did that when we got to Selection Sunday. If you would have pulled out just 2 of those, and they played, 5 top 8 teams or top 10 teams? If you pull out 2 of those and put in 2 rental wins, they probably get in the tournament. Because the 16 losses was what really hamstrung
Before Bruce
them.
Pearl got there, that was one of the worst atmospheres in college basketball.
Right. And then
for a while.
They built a new arena.
No. With the new arena.
Yeah. And
The new arena. Tony Barbee was in there, and he flamed out.
Yeah,
Couldn't do anything. No, with the new arena.
They were bad. So we're looking forward to hearing from Will Wade. We'll have that for you next hour.
A lot of people talking about the video of him getting off the plane and like he was released from prison or something, or he had come back from war or something. It was a little much.
I thought he was emotional, and I get that.
But still, that video of a guy, the whole thing. What coach goes back to the place where he was fired?
Oh, it almost never happens. Almost never happens.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't happen. Okay, so there are some unique aspects to this whole thing. I get it, and there's some, but in the end, bro, was this number 1 on your list? Will Wade might not be as good as a lot of other candidates at Missouri, at Texas, but at LSU, he's more valuable to LSU than just about anybody else. Fair?
Yes.
And so in LSU's basketball program, all you have to do is go there any time the last 2 years. Pick any date. Are they desperate? Yes. And who's the guy to kind of spark some fire and get a desperate program and just make us relevant? We're Kentucky football. LSU basketball is Kentucky football. Most guys are going to fail. You're going to have a ceiling, but because you have so many overlapping heavyweights. Man, you're third in your own building. It ain't even close. Man, it's just so there's a lot of excitement. Screw the rest. We got our number 1 guy. Lane Kiffin. Is he for everybody? Absolutely not. But we saw him do it. Never should Ole Miss look LSU in the eye. Not only did they look them in the eye in football, they surpassed them. Should never happen. Well, who was our 2 years ago? We're talking to humans. Who's our number 1 on the list if Brian Kelly doesn't make it? Lane Kiffin. So who cares how you going to? We ain't in the process of it. And I love my boy. It was a parents' weekend, Charlie. My boy from Raleigh, big NC State guy, comes up in the day, and we had it's a watch party for Alabama, Michigan, whatever, and we're having a good time. And the guy pulls up, and man, the first thing he does, he gives me a big old smile and flips me off.
You're number one.
It's like basically, but he's got a career. He's a very successful guy, sharp guy. Basically, y'all got us. Y'all got us. We didn't want him to leave. He wasn't perfect, but they weren't ready for him to leave. I can tell you that.
And the fan base here would have felt spurned if that would have happened with one of their guys. They felt spurned when Saban left here, and he left for an NFL job. There was no question that was, it's an NFL job, okay? At that time, come on. We're here at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill on Aspen Square in Denham Springs. It's Monday night, so all-you-can-eat boiled shrimp starting at 5 o'clock. We got on Wednesday night, if you prefer wings, it's wings, dollar wings every Wednesday night, line dancing every Wednesday night, live music on the weekends. We got ball crawfish and happy hour every day from 3 until 7 p.m. One of the best happy hours around with $2.50 domestic beers, bottled and draft, and $4 wells and $5 wines. And it's all day on Sunday starting at 11 o'clock. So if you're coming in to watch any of the sports, get college baseball on. The Masters is next week. In 2 weeks, the Final Four is next week. Come on in and watch in the sports bar here. Great viewing opportunities here, the huge screens. They're fantastic here at Big Mike's. Stop on in for lunch, stop in for a cocktail after work here on Aspen Square in Denham Springs. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. New Handicast will drop this afternoon on YouTube. Brought to you by Supreme Rice, celebrating 90 years in business here in 2026. Go to SupremeRice.com. It seems like it's been a really long weekend. It seems like a lot of stuff happened this weekend because the shot that Duke hit to knock the LSU women out on Friday night feels like it happened about a month ago. But that's what happened. Duke, with 2.6 seconds to go, inbounds the ball. He hit a three, and they ended LSU's season. Yesterday, UCLA knocked Duke out, the women. The men got knocked out on a shot that, Jimmy, I got to believe that this one's going to be up there when they play, the highlight films of great shots in the history of the NCAA tournament. Duke's been up there for some on the good side. Leitner against Kentucky, of course. Leitner against the same UConn 2 years before that. Keith Smart to win the championship. Scott Drew, against Ole Miss. This one's going to be there because Duke.
Jordan
to win the national championship, in the Superdome. This one will be right there because of how it happened, because of who's in this game. These two, true, absolute blue bloods of blue bloods, and the way it came down at the end. I think I told you my sister-in-law went to graduate school at Duke, and she called me after the game. She said, "What happened? like what happened in the last 10 seconds of this game?" Because it still seems, even a day later, it still seems surreal that UConn was able to do what they did to get that shot off to win the game.
A lot of things, and man, UConn stumbles into this whole thing down the stretch. I mean, they're down 3. They call a timeout with 27 seconds to go. They can't get a shot off. And Duke fouls them with 10 seconds to go. They let 17 precious seconds, run off the clock. They missed the first free throw. They hit the second one, and then they inbound the ball with 10 seconds to go. And they let them get off multiple passes without fouling. Letting precious seconds go off the clock again. Caravan gets it. he's a guy that's had every clutch shot. There's no doubt he's taken a shot. And it was wise for him that even as he's the guy who, when Michigan State came from 19 down to pull it within one with a minute to go, he knocks down a key three. In this game, when it is a 4-point game with 51 seconds to go, he knocks down the three to cut it to one, to put him in position. So everybody in the building thinks he's shooting, and he just didn't feel comfortable with the guy that was on him, had a little length, and he thought it might be tough, and he switches it over to a guy who shot 21% from three for the season, who was 0 for 6 from three on this one, and it's nothing but net.
From the logo.
31 feet. Yeah.
30.
I mean, this is a team that did not put away. I mean, they played really good for most of the first half. Let them trickle back into it just a little bit, cut it to 15 and a half, got it to 11, and like, man, they're 1 for 17 from three, and they're not that far away.
Right, if they ever start hitting
they're
some
not
shots.
that far away. And, Hurley, who's really, really tough to like, he's now 17-1 against the spread and straight up his last 18 games in the tournament.
Wow.
17-1. The two national championships, they covered the spread every time. They blasted everybody. Last year in the second round when they lost, they gave the national champion all they could handle. Clayton Jr. had to bail Florida out in that one with some more heroics. And here you go in this one. So, and then Shire, who gets all the roses thrown his way, but and North Carolina's making a switch. That's one of the reasons, because Shire's killing them in recruiting. But look at the players he has lost with in the tournament, and lost 14-point lead last year late to Houston, a 21-point lead yesterday. I mean, it's just they have really and didn't handle it well. And they had a lot of timeouts. There was just, I think he was, the little boozer was, because they got away with 2 passes already, they were just kind of like, they thought they could almost run the whole clock out. And they were close to doing it, Charlie.
Yeah.
So I guess, because most times you just can't take any chance in that situation of turning the ball over. So they had plenty of timeouts if they got in trouble, but it's like, I'm watching an MLB game yesterday, and a guy in a 2-run game, 1 run scores, and the other guy gets thrown out. I think it was for the Mets, Lindor. He gets thrown out at home with nobody out. He's a tie and run. They stay at third with nobody out. So, it's just kind of an unnecessary risk by the Boozer kid, and they're beating themselves up. They know they blew it. They can't turn the ball over in that situation. But no, that is unbelievable, man. I mean, they stole it. They stole it from Duke yesterday. But Hurley showed again that they can win games in other areas just being hot from the perimeter.
Boozer has got a great shot to be the Naismith Player of the Year, which would be back-to-back years that Duke had it with Cooper Flagg last year. And this is twice now that they've got knocked out of the tournament, essentially on an inbounds play. Is that what we're going to call, this?
Yeah, basically, just turning it over. Yeah.
This is situational basketball at its finest. He with the 10 seconds is important, because if it's 12, okay, well you got to get the ball into the front court, but it's 10, so you don't.
You run the whole thing out in the back.
You can run the whole thing out in the back court. It's another pass is not necessary, and everybody's asking the same question: why didn't you just hold the ball? And
one element. They were still in the 1-and-1, and they don't shoot free throws well. That was still, they didn't really want to go to that line.
But they had to know, Jimmy, that they weren't going to let getting 10 seconds to run off the clock without getting fouled.
I'm just adding all the pieces to the puzzle, Charlie.
And the possession era.
They don't shoot free throws well. For a team that is that skilled, they don't. And so they're still in the 1-and-1. It's one of those things. A double bonus, that takes a lot of pressure off. But I'm just trying to say, because they were really, they were quick to get out, and they were doing a great job, but you can't. Those were clean passes. Those weren't really risky, the first couple,
right.
But you never throw it over the top in trouble. So you got.
And if he does get the ball over, you call selling out. Yeah, well, they can dunk it, or they can just run the clock out. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But the ball gets.
You heard what the
ball gets
freshman said?
deflected.
Who hit the shot? Said, did you know it was 2 or a 3-point lead? He says, I thought that shot was to tie it up.
Oh wow! And he didn't hesitate. He didn't have time to hesitate. I don't think he's got time.
No,
for,
he said, I know at that spot we might not get a shot off if I don't shoot it.
Right.
So he did have situational awareness. So like, no, I got to shoot it. And especially if Caravan throws it to you, if he gives it up, you better shoot it.
Yeah, because
Like-
and Caravan said that he saw Boozer coming. Okay, who's got
There was a
plenty of
guy
length.
on him with some length. I'm not sure if it was Boozer or not. I apologize about
I
that.
I think Boozer was in the area. He was aware of where he was.
But there was a guy who was
There's
guarding
another
him.
guy, yeah.
He might not have even gotten it off, or it would have been greatly affected because everybody knows, and everybody on that team knows, and the coach knows. If you watch him, knows he already hit 2 huge shots. Man, look, they were all, Duke was on the ropes in St. John's too. Trail for most of that. Patino, man, those guys played great. Well, as 2 really good coaches, and to Duke's defense here, they had the toughest regional. Had they gotten out of it, they would have been in a favorable position because Arizona and Michigan's on the other side. But playing a Patino team and a Hurley team back to back is tough.
We had 2 favorites on Saturday. Trailed early, trailed at the half, and really started to wear on them right about the second media time, right about the 12-minute mark of the second half, and then they overcame and surged. And then the first game on Sunday was a walk for Michigan.
Well, Iowa hung in there way longer. The under 8-minute timeout, they got the lead.
Yeah.
They got the lead. Now, Arizona, in that game, man, they're down 7, and immediately that lead is gone 2 minutes in, and it was just Arizona flexing their muscles. They were much better. I thought about you, though, Charlie. You should have told your sister-in-law. I never felt like Duke was going to lose.
She was not in the mood for that yesterday.
Because you didn't, huh?
She did say she rooted for. She went to undergrad at LSU, so she said on Friday night she was rooting for the LSU ladies. So I said, okay, well I'm gonna cut you some slack.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, a Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060, full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get with our long-standing staff. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, a Legacy Title. 296-0060.
Live at Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Live at Lunch 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Here at Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill again at 12 o'clock, we will have the Will Wade introductory press conference at the Maravich Assembly Center.
Troy, what's your takeaway from the weekend, man?
That this has been the best college basketball season of my life. The tournament has lived up to it. I've been covering this sport for just over 15 years. I've been obsessed with it since I was 5 years old in 1990. I've done it all year long. Like, more often than not, than when the really good teams play each other, we get amazing games. And yes, certainly, there's some blowouts that got out of hand, but like the good games have been great. And we obviously saw that Sunday night with that crazy finish to UConn Duke.
So even with the Cinderella being severely wounded in this whole thing, and a lot of times not even competitive. It's 67 games. I mean, there's going to be some good ones in there. There's no doubt. So one of the best, you think, though, that you can remember.
I mean, there was. I would say like the first weekend of 2010 was incredible. I think that was the year we got Xavier, Sue Holloway, Kansas State game, which was amazing. I think we got a BYU Florida game that was amazing. But when you add this tournament to the season, it's been incredible. I mean, yeah, we didn't have big Cinderellas, but I mean, I'll take Siena against Duke. Like that was enough of it. Santa Clara was there, and the ball bouncing off the backboard for Kentucky.
Right.
So just the quality of games, the competitiveness, and just the finishes have been amazing.
That's interesting because your team is a Big East team, and look, the new the shift in college basketball as far as the hierarchy goes and the resources. I mean, the Big East has been severely wounded as well. There's just so many teams that are below their form of, there's 5 or 6 of them that are not close to what they were just 3-4 years ago. So, I think it delivers, man. It's just there's so much more emotion in the games, man. There's just so much more. It's imperfect too. We talk about some NBA guys. How do they do this? Well, I mean, I don't know what you compare it to, Charlie, as far as turning it over. The only one I could think of in this spot was like when Bird stole the ball against the Pistons in Game 5. In that divisional series. A long time. A steal and a bucket. We've seen it in some of the women's games and things like that. But I mean, Troy, you're a college basketball historian as well. Can you remember when a team in a tournament or a postseason, got a steal, when they're losing and laid it up for the bucket?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go very far. We can go last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? Furman, UVA. Almost damn near same play. UVA, I think it might have been tied, but UVA trying to get the ball up court and tries to, pass from the near side across the middle of the court, gets picked off, and Furman hits a three-pointer and wins the game. I think there was like 2 seconds left. Obviously, as a Big East fan and as a Georgetown fan, there's the Freddie Brown play in 1982 where he passed the ball to James Worthy, who's on the other team, with about 7 seconds to go, down 2. Now, granted, they were losing, so they would have needed that to
they were down. They weren't protecting the lead and turned it over.
Right.
Yes, I was in the building that night.
Furman,
So
it was damn near the same play, and I think that was last year.
I can't remember if they were winning with the lead or not. So certainly not in a regional final. But we do remember back in 1990 when, there's a little payback here, when in overtime at the Meadowlands, UConn has a 1-point lead over Duke with 2.6 seconds to go. Leitner, they don't defend Calhoun decides not to defend the inbounder. He inbounds it. He gets it right back in about a 16-17 double clutcher from the left wing that goes in at the buzzer to beat UConn. So UConn's been waiting a long time to deliver a little payback for this one. What about Shire? Choke, blown leads here. I mean, certainly, in position, or some collapses, there's no doubt. 14-point lead in the Final Four last year against Houston. Was it 19 or 21 yesterday?
Yeah, so, I mean, certainly criticism is warranted. If you look at their last 4 wins, they've held a double-digit lead in all of them and blown them. Or last 4 losses, the USC game, they blew a big lead. They blew a big lead opposite Houston. So the difference I will make in what happened last night to the Houston game in the Final Four last year is I think Houston took it from them far more than they gave it to them. Now, UConn did take it from them, but I do think Duke gave them the opportunity to steal it from them. The turnovers by both losers, I think they had 3 in the last 2 minutes combined. Obviously, the pass in the middle of the court being a good one. That was a game that Duke gave away far more than I thought they did against Houston. But obviously, credit to UConn. But that's the thing is, I saw a tweet that's like, well, does this mean that, what the one and done doesn't work? Obviously, we had Anthony Davis at Kentucky and Duke's come up short. But it's like, we look at this differently. We look at it as you should win the championship as opposed to making Final Fours is still an incredibly hard task. Winning ACC championships and tournaments are an incredibly hard task. But the trade-off of freshmen is they don't have the muscle memory. It doesn't matter how many Pete Stams or EYBLs you play in. You don't have the experience of having to make that pass in that spot after blowing a lead like you did, and you feel like you're drowning, where there's nothing you can do to get it back. How do you make a pass like that? What you know what to do, and it's a pretty simple fix. You take a breath, you pump fake, you step to the side, and you make a side bounce pass to your opponent. But you haven't been there before, so I do think Shire's not a fiery guy. I don't know what his halftime speeches are like. I do think there is absolutely some criticism warranted towards his coaching style about getting his team locked in and being, tough as nails with the lead with 6 minutes to go, because they've shown that they're very susceptible to just playing with the screwed and thrown up on the court.
And they did get their point guard back, Charlie. I mean, he's fine. Friday and yesterday,
Yeah.
so they got their starting point guard back, and it was a big because they kind of show they coming into this weekend without him, they showed a little vulnerability. They play with their food a little bit. So
And we thought that he would be compromised.
he did.
And
If you didn't know,
no,
you couldn't tell.
Somebody 3 weeks off of foot surgery.
Yeah, if you didn't know, you couldn't tell. Troy to the weekend regional finals, even though the struggles where Iowa was covering most of the game, but Illinois pulls away in the last 8 minutes. At halftime, Arizona is down to Purdue by 7, but man, they blow them out in the second half. And then Michigan destroys Tennessee. Chalk, and then Chalk is winning again for most of the game before the UConn comeback. Where was the handle at most of the weekend?
Yeah, and the first 3 games it was on the favorite to cover and win outright, but to cover, Arizona was, other than Duke to cover, we took more money on Arizona to cover. And the reason we took more money on Duke is we took 2 very, very large bets on Duke to cover. The most tickets of any play in the Elite Eight was on UConn to cover. But, the second is Arizona, the third is Michigan, and the fourth is Illinois to cover in terms of tickets. So, I think what we've seen is the great teams, they play pretty close for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But then around that 12-minute mark is when we really see the elite teams, the top-tier teams, Arizona, Michigan, even Illinois, UConn as well, against Michigan State, where they had the big lead, they blew it, and then they took control over it again. That's what we're seeing a lot of. And so you kind of – there's sweat. There is sweat to be had, but if you stick with it, usually you end up the last 3 minutes in pretty calm, cool, and collected waters, because some of these games, when you see the final score, it's not really indicative of the total game, because the last 6 minutes do get out of hand.
Even the biggest the source of entertainment in the first round, minus maybe Kentucky Santa Clara, but was Duke behind Siena, till the last media timeout. I mean, I would even go further than that. It was like the last 8 minutes or so. And it's the Charlie Hannegriff tournament this year. He loves to say the game was too long for the dog. Well, it was. We've seen it over and over and over, Troy. There is no doubt. So what are we looking at here? It seems like you've got the appetizer and the entree. Everybody is, we've done this before. Of course, Albuquerque was the biggest example when Louisville and Phi Samba Jama were the headline act there. And, underdogs, NC State and Georgia, the year after Dominique Wilkins left Georgia to go play for the Hawks. And, well, we know what happened there. But it does seem like, everybody thinks the winner of the nightcap is going to win eventually in this whole thing. And we got one thing about it. We got some very tight lines here.
Yeah, we do. Illinois is minus 2.5 against UConn. The interesting thing, obviously, Illinois being the lowest seeded team. Granted, just one seed line, but this is the 6th instance in this tournament that the lower seeded team has been the favorite. And usually there are 4 or 5 matchups, 8-9 matchups, things like that. I think the only one was Tennessee in a 6-3 matchup over Virginia, and 4 of those 5 teams won. The only lower seeded team that did not win as a favorite was Vanderbilt against Nebraska, and I mean, you're talking a rotation around the cylinder away from winning that game. Tough. I think UConn is certainly not as deep as Illinois. Both teams can struggle to shoot the ball, but I think Terrace Reed is going to be a huge problem for Illinois, even though Illinois has so much size. One of the best interior defenses. Terrace Reed has been a monster. I really think this game comes down to who's shooting better. Because, if Braylon Mullins had not been good this tournament up until that shot he hit. For me, it's going to be 3 points. I mean, what were they at halftime? Like 1 for 15, UConn was behind the arc. So whoever's shooting better in this game, I think, will win. But if this is the appetizer, this is a 3-star or 5-star multi-Michelin restaurant appetizer you're getting, because this is as good of a game as we'll get. It's just that the one in the nightcap is the best game of the year.
Troy, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you on Friday when we will take a preview, a Longhorn preview at these 2 games. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Troy.
Thanks, guys.
We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store, open in Lockport and LaRose. We're a week and change deep into spring, so if you're getting your yard and your property up to speed, your lawn and garden essentials, up to 65% off of a number of these things at the website, thethibodeaustore.com. From your potting soils to your seeders, your fertilizers, your lawn and garden tools, all of them with big savings right now at the website. Plus channel lock tools, up to 40% off on those. Patio furniture, outdoor cooking equipment, outdoor power equipment, all available right now at thethibodeaustore.com. And don't be afraid to ask for a little bit of help if you've got some do-it-yourself projects. The staffs at all of these stores very committed to helping you out so you don't waste time and you don't waste money. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, Highway 70 in Pierre Part, open daily in Thibodaux till 5:30. And if you're heading down to the coast to do some fishing, tons of fishing equipment available at the Thibodaux Store. And online, it's thethibodeaustore.com. Live at Big Mike's in Denham Springs, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Big Mike's. You know, the last time we were here, they had just they were just getting ready to do their grand opening of the new Aspen Room here on the right side of the property. You can book the Aspen Room now for your parties, for your rehearsals, for baby showers, for birthday parties, anything. Newly renovated, looks fantastic, huge capacity. So get in touch with them here at Big Mike's and plan your next get together. Also, it's a pretty big facility here when we get into fantasy football drafts a little bit later on. Multiple places that you can do that here at Big Mike's, and also ball crawfish daily right now throughout the spring. So get your ball crawfish. It's a pretty big crawfish weekend, right?
Big accounts for half the crawfish sales for the entire season this weekend.
Okay, yeah. Between Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
They start on Holy Thursday, Charlie.
Yeah, it's going to be, and we will be broadcasting on Friday. On Good Friday on the holiday.
Not sure that it's a holiday for some of our lineup, huh?
Yeah, I think that's right. I'll have to check on that. We're a few minutes away from the Will Wade press conference. We'll carry that at the top of the hour. Jimmy, anything you expecting out of him? I mean, if the
why the return? A lot of how tough it was for NC State, to leave. I mean, there had to be a level of appreciation. I know we're going to hear this again, the alignment, because, he really went above and beyond handling his business the right way in Lake Charles. Because some people were, taking some shots at McNeese and this and that because Will was, everybody took shots at him. He cheated. No, he didn't cheat. He got caught, okay? Cheats, everybody's cheating, okay? He got caught. All right, and he paid the price for it. But, the alignment with all the administrators who have gone from Lake Charles to LSU, it's unusual, man. So he had to feel comfortable and have a lot of those pieces in place.
And I'm anxious to see, given what we saw at the airport on Friday, the emotion. Because he was clearly kind of emotional on Friday to come back here. Some unfinished business, if you will. We'll be back at the top of the hour, live at Big Mike's in Denham Springs, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Big Mike's on Monday nights. It's all you can eat boiled shrimp starting at 5 o'clock. We got boiled crawfish every day. Wednesday nights are dollar wings and lawn dancing on Wednesday nights. Live music every weekend here at Big Mike's. We're monitoring in the PMAC as soon as they go to the podium. We're going to go there for the introduction of Will Wade as LSU's new basketball coach, and we'll carry that press conference for you. So as soon as they go, Jordan's going to let us know. and we will go there.
Let me talk about our friends over at Total Maintenance again, one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. AC heating, generator installations, maintenance, service today, every day. It's getting warm, so nobody likes to go. Nobody should ever go to sleep when it's not working, man. You will never sleep hot. If you call today, you get service today at Total Maintenance. 480-1000, 480-1000.
43-year-old Will Wade, first head coaching job at Chattanooga, was there for 2 years. Won nearly 80% of his conference games in the Southern Conference, got promoted to VCU in the A-10 for 2015 through 2017, won 78% of his conference games, and took both of those teams into the NCAA tournament and won a game in his first season at VCU. 5 seasons.
He won a game in the tournament?
He did. They were round of 32, yeah. The 2016, 15-16, according to what I'm reading here, they made the round of 32.
So he's 4-8 then in the league
that year.
I mean, in the tournament.
Okay. 5 years at LSU. His best season was 2019 when LSU went 25-5 overall and 16-2 in the Southeastern Conference. Won the league. Went to the Sweet 16 of the tournament. Wade was suspended for that. They lost to Michigan State after winning their first 2 games. The 2020 postseason was canceled because of COVID. They finished 21-10 that year, 12-6, and tied for second in the Southeastern Conference. They would have been, if I remember, they would have been like a 6 seed that year, probably something in that area, 5 or 6 seed. Maybe a 7 seed, somewhere in there. In the 20 season, they finished second in the league.
7.
About a 7.
We're projecting like a 7 seed.
In 21, they were 19-10, 11-6 in the league. They finished third in the Southeastern Conference, made the tournament, won a game, and then lost in the second round. That was the year they played the tournament all in Indiana at just a couple of sites. And in the 22 season, they were 21-11, 9-9. He did not finish out the regular season, but LSU made the tournament, lost to Iowa State in the round of 64. 2 years at McNeese, 50-9 overall, 36-2 in the Southland Conference, made the NCAA tournament both years, and beat Clemson in his second year in the first round of the tournament. And then this year at NC State, 20-14, 10-8 in the league, made it into the NCAA tournament. They were in the first 4. So for his career, 266 and 119 for a winning percentage of 691. And in conference play, in all 3 of these stops before, or all 4 of these stops before NC State, a winning percentage in league play of no less than 78%. Taking this year out of it.
Yeah, that year they beat, they were 10 seed, beat number 7 seed, Oregon State 75-67. Oklahoma, who was on their way to the Final Four that year, they lost 85-81 in the second round.
So we'll see what we'll see what he's got to say. Like I said, I'm expecting a little bit of emotion here. Expecting I don't have any idea what kind of crowd they've got in there, but they're giving away shirts to the students. The first one was jubilant, wouldn't you say? The one at the student union? That's been almost 10 years
Man,
ago.
look, they didn't know Will Wade from, the guy next to them. They knew they were getting free hamburgers, and they were just excited to get it. I'm sorry. I mean, I remember what he talked about then, but it's different now. He talked about that there's a lot of good basketball players in Louisiana. That ain't happening these days.
No.
You've documented that a lot.
Yeah, we had John Brady on Friday, and, he says, look, I was blessed that the run of players here in the state were really good. He says that hasn't been the case. He also was talking about, player budget. I said, look, they're expecting a player budget in the $12 to $13 million range. I said, what would you do with $12.5 million? He says, well, I think what kind of hamstrung me, man, he says, there wasn't an all-conference player here in the 4 years. There wasn't a player drafted in the 4 years that McMahon was here. He says, you got to go out. You got to have 2 or 3 pros. He says and a pro costs you $2 to $3 million. Okay, a pro. He says, you get 2. If you can get 3, get 3. He says, and then I'd probably take 2 high school kids, and then fill the rest of the roster out with what the funds I have left.
So that's the thing that Duke is going to have to do. They're just they're like Kentucky Calipari era sort of. They're so young, and that was some youth. That breakdown yesterday was youth. and not fully understanding that situation. It's also they had been in a whole lot of competitive games this year. But he talked about that, and he also talked about playing defenses, is like 75% effort. I don't forget exactly the number he put on it, but he talked about that. So if you remember, they were taking over for Johnny Jones when they played zero defense.
And Johnny's teams didn't completely fall off the cliff, until the last year. He was actually 8 games. It's easy to forget this now. Johnny had a winning record in the league by 8 games up until that last season. They had finished 9-9 2 years in a row, and they finished 11-7 2 years in a row. So let's go to the press conference now with the introduction of Will Wade.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Very enthusiastic Will Wade coming back, saying he's been humbled and changed, and figures that they will be very aggressive, attack the portal, pack the PMAC, and are out to win and win very, very quickly. So that's what we heard the first time that he came here, minus the portal stuff.
It's a whole different feel.
It's a different,
yes,
absolutely.
Indeed. No, he knows he's got things he's talked about. Said you hear this LSU narrative. LSU hoops is built to be average, built to be mediocre. No, he knows he's got these people who have been a part of basketball promoting their school, and there's no learning curve anymore. So. It's
I'll cop to that. We've said that on this show
over and over.
Our
administration has done everything to remind us of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the athletic director who introduced him today was, he was telling us 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5, whatever it was, now you can't win in everything. When asked about men's basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
2 of the last 3 coaches, prior to, this, they allowed 2 coaches to go to sleep on the job here. And so, yes, we have a time. Yeah. And just like when we met with him the first time, it's like, hey, listen, double the wins, get to 4. No, I'm not here to win 4. I'm not here to win 6. I'm here to win big. And he did last time. He won an SEC championship. He got him into the tournament every year. I have no doubt that he'll hit the ground running and he'll be competitive really quick.
I thought it was cool that he said, he said it's going to be a quicker start next time. There's no learning curve, but he said that things are in place. They asked him about. He was like, "Man, I thought we were just getting going," but he said things are in place now that weren't necessarily in place before when he did leave, and so his roundabout way, he's back where he wants to be. There's more support. Administrative support, Charlie. Yeah. More support to go and do it. And he also said, look, the league's tougher now. There's no doubt when he left, and we know that.
There are so many differences. If you left 4 years ago and came, I would say this with the baseball stuff.
Jeez.
Man, how much has the landscape of college athletics changed in the last 4 years? When he was here the first time, the transfer portal wasn't in place the way it is now without having to sit out. There was no rev share. There was no NIL. The last 4
years ago, he's probably not coming back. From 1 year at NC State, where the SEC has distanced themselves from the ACC even more, where the player money and that player budget is dependent on the football money and some others. No, Charlie, he had a tough decision to begin with anyway. I mean, if there wasn't several pieces into place, he did say, I think a little bit because we all heard Boo Carrigan, talk about his, and everybody's been on. He says everybody's got to cover, kind of deal. But he doesn't want to go back and forth on that. But no, man, and listen, he's talked about no excuse. There's no reason to have excuses for not competing at the highest level.
I want to thank
my man Roos. He was
pretty excited.
Good hell leader, huh?
He was pretty excited. He was pretty excited. Thanks to the folks here at Big Mike's for being our host. We love coming over here in Denham Springs. Check out the new Aspen Room for all of your receptions, parties, get-togethers. Available for rental right now. It's a beautifully new renovated facility here at Big Mike's that's available for you. Crawfish every day, including at lunchtime, 7 days a week right now here at Big Mike's. Live music every weekend. Plus, we got all-you-can-eat ball shrimp every Monday night starting at 5 o'clock. Dollar wings on Wednesday night. Happy hour from 3 until 7 Monday through Friday with $2.50 domestic beers, both bottled and draft, $4 wells and $5 wines. Those are good. Prices are good on Sundays starting at 11 a.m. all day. Come on here in the sports bar at Big Mike's and watch all day on Sunday. You're going to enjoy a wonderful little neighborhood bar here in Denham Springs. Thanks to Big Mike and all of his staff here always wonderful to us. Tomorrow we're at Doe's Eat Place. For Jimmy, for Jordan, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.